Hey everyone, welcome to another OpenRCT2 update video. Now, first of all, happy 10th birthday to OpenRCT2. It's been almost exactly 10 years now since the first commit was done in the OpenRCT2 codebase. Now, version 0.4.10 has been released and it's named You Don't Really Eat Cakes. Yeah, always wonderful names for these OpenRCT2 releases. Anyway, in this video I'm going to show you some of the changes that have been made in this release, which I think are very exciting, and you can find the full list of changes in a link that I will leave in the video description. Now, first of all, the classic stand-up coaster has been added to the game, so I believe you need to have Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 installed, and you need to link your OpenRCT2 installation to your RCT1 installation. But when you have done that, you can now build the classic stand-up roller coaster. Now, when you build it, the track is much more limited than your OpenRCT2 variant of this track, because of course it only it only has the RCT1 sprites, so no banked curves. And if your track is banked, you cannot have upwards helixes. So here I have the two tracks right next to each other. So below you can see the RCT1 track. It has less of these cross beams than the RCT2 track does. So I think that's the main difference. Also the bank angle is much shallower in the RCT1 variant. So yeah, if you want to build a classic stand-up coaster, or if you are loading an RCT1 scenario, then you'll probably get to build this variant. Now, speaking of Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 vehicles, a lot of these vehicles have had their rating calculations modified in OpenRCT2 to make them more in line with the Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 ride rating calculation. Alright, here's a change which I think is really exciting. Here you can see some existing support pieces which were already in the game, but several more have been added to OpenRCT2 now. So here you can see the new support pieces. So these two are walls, and this is another scenery object, kind of like this one. And I already know I will make heavy use of these new objects. Okay, another object that has been added is a mirrored version of the post object. So previously the post could only be placed like this in these orientations, but now there's also a mirrored version. So it's actually a wall object. So it was always a little bit awkward to make it symmetrical, but now you can actually do that. It's a small change, but I actually really like this one. Alright, I've already made a video about this, but several wall types and fences have now also gotten sloped versions. Now, once again, I'm going to make a lot of use of these objects, especially these fences. Normally I would place a different fence in place here. For example, one of these, but now that's no longer necessary as they now have their own sloped sprites. I think they look really nice. Now there's a functionality which a lot of people don't know about, but that's that you can actually open an extra viewport in OpenRCT2. So it's actually here under the map icon, and then if you go to this one, the second one, it shows extra viewport. Now, this can be really useful if you're going to build somewhere and you want to copy something which you already built. For example, we could have this tower. Let's just move the view a little bit. And then, for example, I could go to an empty part of the map. And yeah, for example, I can just, with the scenery picker, I can just copy and paste things that I want to add here. Now, previously, if you rotated the screen, yeah, the viewport would no longer work properly, but this has been fixed. So I can rotate the screen as I want, but this viewport here will stay. It will stay focused the way it was. And it actually has an independent rotate view button now. So you can rotate the view here in this viewport with this button here. You can also zoom in, zoom out. I think it could be a very useful tool in some situations. Alright, here's a small fix that has been done. Previously, if you had clearance checks disabled, you could not actually build through a slope. So, well, I can simulate that if I enable clearance checks. So if I build this wall here, yeah, previously if the clearance checks were disabled, you wouldn't be able to build through this wall. And then you would get an error message if you try to build it partially underground. But now with clearance checks disabled, you see I can now just build through the ground just fine. Once again, I think this is a really welcome addition, because normally I would always just build the walls above ground and then I'd had to move them partly underground with the tile inspector. But that's no longer necessary. Alright, up next is another small fix that has been done. The Haunted Mansion cars, which are one of the available vehicles for the Ghost Train. They actually had a third color you could choose for these vehicles, but they didn't actually do anything. So that third color option has been removed. Just a small fix. Alright, for the next change, yeah, some of the objects from the expansions have had their hitboxes fixed. Some of these objects have had really large, strange hitboxes, but these now have been made so that you can place walls all around them. For example, you can see a weird hitbox of an object. This one is from the futuristic set, and for example over here you cannot build walls, but inside here you can actually build walls. It's all a bit strange, but yeah, there's often some weird properties of several objects from the expansions. Now there are still some drab pieces which you cannot place walls around at all. So I'm not really sure if that's something which was also supposed to be tackled in this update and which was forgotten. But yeah, I think it's easy to forget one or two of these large scenery pieces, because there's quite a few in this set. Now here's another example of badly made objects. The Mandarin boats, which is a vehicle for the boat hire. They actually wrongly had a capacity of 4 passengers per boat, even though only 2 passengers are visible on the boat. So 2 guests who entered would just become invisible. But now the capacity is back to 2 passengers per boat. And for some reason the guests also get orange hair as soon as they enter. Alright, here's a bug that was discovered by somebody who wanted to torture other players by making a scenario with an insanely high number of guests as the completion goal. And if you would increase this number above 32,700 something, I believe, it would overflow back into negative. So now this number has been increased, and I believe the maximum is now 50,000. But by that point your computer is probably so laggy running this game that it wouldn't be fun for anybody to play anymore anyway. But yeah, if you want to, you can now increase this number to an insanely high completion goal. Now, if you have Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 installed, another change that you will see in OpenRCT2 is that Southern Sands, Tiny Towers, Nevermore Park and Pacifica are now classified as expert parks. And the Wacky World scenarios have all been reordered based on their difficulty. Now, there have been many other changes. Among others, more features are now enabled in the Android build, which hasn't been maintained as well as the Windows build. But for example, in the Android build you can now also have plugins, networking and multiplayer. Now, as you can see in this list, there were many other changes as well, some significant, some a little bit less significant. You can find all these changes in the link that I've posted in the video description. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, if you think it's helpful, please consider giving a like to this video. It would really help out my channel. And if you want to stay updated whenever there's a new OpenRCT2 release, you can always subscribe to my channel. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.